Hello, I'm Jen Lee with Jen Lee Law, and today we're talking about credit scores and what makes up your credit score. I get a lot of questions with people not knowing what's going to affect their credit score and what they should do to fix their credit score, so I'm just going to go through the different components of credit scores. Keeping in mind that sometimes credit scoring systems can vary from one to another, this is just a general overview. But the first and most important thing about credit scores is your payment history. It makes up 35% of your total score. So payment history is whether you make your payments on time, if you have a 30-day late, if you have a 60-day late payment, those are going to drastically affect your credit scores. I have seen credit scores drop 200 points because one payment was 30 days late. That person had an 820 credit score and it went down to a 620 with one late payment. So your payment history is crucial. The downside of payment history as well is that if you have a late payment, it takes a long time to rebuild because there's nothing you can do to get rid of that. You have to wait 7 years for it to drop off. The second component is utilization. And what I mean by utilization is how much of your credit you're using. So if you have a $1,000 credit limit and you're using $1,000 of it, it's maxed out, you're at 100% utilization. Most credit reporting scores want you to have less than 30% utilization. So on a $1,000 limit card, you should have $300 on there or less. And utilization actually makes up 30% of your credit score. So between your payment history and your utilization, that's 65% of your credit score. So the bottom line is make your payments on time and don't max out your credit cards. Those are the two best things you can do to increase your credit score. The third item is your length of credit history, and that makes up 15% of your overall credit score. And what they're looking at is to see how long you've had credit and whether you've used it well. And it's really interesting because the optimal length of credit history is about 30 years. So you may not have optimal credit history until you're 45 years old because they're looking back that long to make sure how long you've used credit well. So length of credit history you can't affect other than don't shut down your old cards. This is the myth you hear online sometimes where someone says don't shut down your credit card or don't close it because then you are going to ruin your credit score. Well, you don't ruin it. It takes it down a little bit, but if you have an old card, keep it open, just don't use it. The fourth one is types of credit, and that's 10% of your score. Types of credit means if you have a different mix of credit, you want to have a mortgage, a car loan, a couple different credit cards, a personal loan, basically showing that you've got a mix out there. You've been able to manage different obligations, different types of credit, and you don't just have two credit cards that you've always paid off. So types of credit is 10%. And then the last one, number 5, is inquiries, and that's 10% of your score. And inquiries is what you hear when people say, is that going to hit my credit report? So when a lender goes out and runs your credit to get a car loan, they're going to do what's called a hard hit on your credit to find out how well your credit score is right now or how bad it is. And then also, sometimes they'll go out and you'll shop around for a car loan at 5 or 6 different places. That counts as one inquiry on your credit report. But if you have a whole bunch of inquiries over the last year, lenders are going to wonder what you're doing and why you're applying for so much credit. So that's where inquiries come into your credit score calculation, and that's 10%. There is one last item that comes in, but it comes in within the other areas. So collection accounts and public records can show up on your credit report, and it'll affect you in the payment history, in the utilization areas, and the types of credit. Public records are things like bankruptcies, judgment liens, and tax liens. So if you have those out there, those will negatively impact your credit score, and those need to be resolved in order for you to increase your credit score. So of those 5 items, the first 5, that's 100%. The last ones affect the other scores, but they can always have an impact. If you don't have any collection accounts or public records, that's a good thing. If you do, it's going to impact your score a little bit more. So that's it for credit scores. We're going to go through a lot more information in future videos. I'm Jen Lee with Jen Lee Law. Thanks.